used to have this job where I planted trees. I planted 7,176 trees in my lifetime. It was my job. It was what I did for a living. The world needed trees and I needed money. It was very hard work. We didn't have any heavy equipment, and I should say these were very large trees. They weren't little saplings, and we didn't have any heavy equipment at all. We did everything with a shovel, spade, and a pickaxe. And my boss used to say that he needed people with strong backs and weak minds. Sadly, I qualified for that. But I would, I'd have a helper who would come out with me, and people would get these high-minded ideas about planting trees for a living. And I think, yeah, I want to do that. And they would show up, and it would just be way harder than what they anticipated. And the money was pretty bad too, so they just wouldn't come back the next day. And I don't really blame them, but it was a lot of people who came and went. And I came in one day, and there was a new guy there, and somebody said that he just graduated college, had a degree in English literature, and I thought, well, at least the conversations will be good. So I said, hey buddy, why don't you come work with me today? And we went out and we had one of the hardest days that we ever had working there, in the 10 years that I worked there. We had to plant quite a few very large trees, and the ground was extremely hard. It was like trying to dig a hole in this floor here. So all day long, we're slamming down spades and pickaxes, trying to chip away little pieces of earth and just make as much headway as we could. And about halfway through the day, I look over and I realized I saw his hands. He had these big blisters all over his hands that came up, and they'd broken open and they were bleeding. And he never said a word. He never complained or anything. He just kept digging. And I thought, man, this guy's tough. And I also thought, there's no way in hell he's coming back again tomorrow. So I said, hey man, let's take a break and sit down. We sat there, and I said, I just want you to know that I've really enjoyed your company today. And if you promise, I want you to know it's not always this hard. And if you come back again tomorrow, I promise that I'll do everything I can to make it a little bit easier on you. And he came back the next day, and he kept coming back. And he ended up working with me for a few years and became one of my closest friends. I later found out that he had to keep coming back because he was supporting his mother at the time. So that tells you what kind of guy we're talking about. But when we had days like that we did not want to be there, we made this pact between us that whatever money we made on that particular day, we would set it aside so we'd know that our labor had value. So while we're digging holes and throwing trees in the ground, we're talking about going out to the western part of the United States to hang out with hobos. We're talking about going down to New Orleans and see what kind of trouble we could get into. We're talking about going to places like Prague or Romania, or Munich. And we did most of these trips. There's a possibility that we might have even talked about going to Mountain View one day. Maybe. We would listen to John Prine in the truck and talk about William Blake and dig holes and do manual labor. But like I said, he became one of my closest friends and one of my favorite travel partners. But he passed away on his 30th birthday. And it's one of those things you never really get over or get past. You just keep moving on the best that you can. So if it's all right with you guys, I'd like to do a song for him tonight. Can I do that? I remember 2 weeks in Nova Scotia. How we walked on the beach almost every day, with a boot full of sand on our way to nowhere, never knowing what would wash up out to sea. You found a starfish lying in the sand, you picked it up and held it in your hand so gently as the tide washed away. I was thinking about songs in faraway places, And I remembered the words I forgot to say. I was thinking about the Lord above, and why did the good die young, and why did the worst of those among us never fail? I tried to believe that there's something more to this world besides keeping score, but frankly, I'm losing faith. As all my friends pass away. I remember October in the Bay of Fundy, trying to sleep on a boat as we crossed the sea. Night air was cold but full of healing. Night air, won't you lay your hands on me? There was moonlight reflected off the wave silhouettes of waves, taking a leap into midnight and my salt splattered face. I was thinking about songs in faraway places when I remembered the words I forgot to say. I was thinking about the Lord above, and why did the good die young, and why did the worst of those among us never fail? I tried to believe that there's something more to this world besides keeping score, but frankly, I'm losing faith. As all my friends pass away. I remember the fog of Massachusetts on the morning we stood on Kerouac's grave. I was thinking about the Lord above, and why did the good die young, and why did the worst of those among us never fail? I tried to believe that there's something more to this world besides keeping score, but frankly, I'm losing faith. As all my friends pass away. As we pulled into Milwaukee, I could feel my head and back begin to sway. After riding 13 hours, I was ready to get my feet off of the train. Reminded of what happened in Galesburg, Flagstaff, and Abilene. Somewhere in the distance, I was followed by the darker side of me. I stumbled through the city looking for a place that I could lay my head. But first I needed work, and it'd been a couple days since I'd been fed. On the shores of Lake Michigan, I found a spot where I could finally breathe. I slept next to the water and I dreamt about the darker side of me. When I woke, I found a fishing boat loading up its nets to meet the day. captain walked up to me and offered me a job and a place to stay. He promised to feed me and I could sleep inside his boat every night. I could feel the darkness fading as we sailed off in the early morning light. The next few months were filled with the longest days that I had ever seen. The work was never ending and I barely had the time to eat or sleep. We hauled 400 pounds of salmon from the cold and frigid water every day. After all my days of toiling, I forgot about the darker side of me. When the season finally ended, I went and asked the captain for my pay. When I walked into his office, he claimed he didn't have a dime for me. He said I owed him money for sleeping inside his boat every night. When I heard the bogus charges, I could feel the darkness churning deep inside. I locked the door behind me and offered him a chance to come clean. I'm here for all my money and I'm not the type of man that walks away. He laughed and spit at me and said there ain't no way in hell I'm getting paid. But his laughter fell to silence as I introduced him to the darker side of me. As we pulled out of Milwaukee, I could feel my head and back begin to sway. I'll be riding 13 hours and I'll be ready to get my feet off of the train. Reminded of what happened in Galesburg, Flagstaff, and Milwaukee. Somewhere in the distance, I keep running from the darker side of me. If we meet inside a boxcar, may you never meet the darker side of me.